We have ourselves the trade details fully revealed by the Vegas Golden Knights Twitter account. The Golden Knights have acquired forward Anthony Mantha from the Washington Capitals in exchange for a 2024 second-round pick and a 2026 fourth-round pick. That seems to be it. That's all we got. We had word like 40 minutes ago from Darren Dreger saying that Vegas got Anthony Mantha from Washington, but now we waited like almost an hour just to hear the return as a second and a fourth. That's it. So, interestingly enough, this seems to be the outcome as to what these trade pieces could be going for. Mantha's a guy at 29 years old, 6'5", 234, left-handed winger, signed till the end of this season, making $5.7 million a year. He's a pretty good player, all things considered. Like, this season, he's got 34 points in 56 games played, on pace for about a 50-point year, and maybe almost 30 goals too. But the thing that has really plagued Mantha's game for years now has been his work ethic, motivation, and consistency. There were a lot of times in the Red Wings and the Capitals systems where Mantha would just kind of coast along and not really showcase the talent that made him a 48-point in 67-game guy with the Wings in 2018-19. I'd say this season may have been like the best season he had ever had in terms of his potential and what he was looking like he could be, because at that point he was only 24 years old. He was this big power forward dude with soft hands and playmaking qualities who could be a goal scorer if he needed to be. And there was this overall level of hype with the Wings fan base that said, yeah, Mantha could be that guy. He could be a first-line top six player for our team. It's just, as his career went on, you started to see injuries play into it, and you started to see his consistency wane more and more, and eventually in Washington, the same thing kind of happened. Last year, he had 27 points in 67 games played, a very big decline from the 23-point season he had in 37 games in 21-22. But this year, he's gotten back up on his high horse, and with a point-per-game stint in his last 5 and 10 games respectively. Mantha is on a little bit of a tear right now, and the Vegas Golden Knights are taking advantage of that, and the price is only a second and a fourth. Honestly, you could convince me that this is fair, mostly because of Mantha's inconsistency. Like, the fact is, he is a rental, and he will go to the free agent market next year, or this summer, I guess you could say. And so, because there isn't really any guarantee he'll stick around, a second and a fourth is alright for a guy who's playing pretty good hockey right now, but whom you can't really expect the most consistency out of as his season goes on. Now, I do kind of find it intriguing that Mantha was the guy that the Golden Knights ended up going for. We had seen rumors they were into Toffoli, they were into Jake Gensel. They went with a lower option here in Mantha, and I guess if you want to talk about salary, it works out pretty well, because $5.7 million against the Vegas Golden Knights cap, that pretty much matches what Stone is going to be on the LTIR for. He's making $9.5 million, and he was just placed on there, I think yesterday or 2 days ago or whatever it was. Jack Eichel was reactivated, so everything is kind of working itself out in Vegas. But Anthony Mantha is heading over, and if you wanted to talk about where he'll fit in this lineup, honestly, there are a bunch of spots up for grabs, man. You have all these random dudes scattered throughout the lineup. I mean, Barbashev, Marchessault, Eichel, okay, that's pretty alright, but even on the second line, you've got Michael Amadio there. The third line, you've got Denisenko, Cotter, and Waugh. Thank you to Nick Waugh and Paul Cotter for doing things on both the power play and in terms of hits this season. I very much appreciate that for my fantasy team. And then in the fourth line, Mason Morelli has actually been pretty impressive too. Byron Frazier's over here, so is Keegan Kolesar. So take your pick. Shuffle the lines however you want, because Anthony Mantha fitting in with any of these guys seems like a pretty interesting option. Him playing with Eichel, two big power forward capable guys. Him playing with Carlsson, I'm interested in seeing that kind of meshing of the play styles. Nick Waugh has had some good moments too, so Anthony Mantha seems like a pretty acceptable upgrade on this forward core, and the Vegas Golden Knights are not really giving anything up too much in order to get this done. Just a second and just a fourth. Realistically, for the Washington Capitals fans, I feel like you have the right to be a little bit disappointed. Also, there's 50% salary retained on the deal. Okay, so Mantha's only making, what's 5.7 divided by 2? That will be $2.85 million a year, so pretty cheap cap hit for the Vegas Golden Knights. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I start to feel that this is kind of a big win for Vegas, honestly, considering the price and considering what they traded away. I mean, when you lay it out like this, Washington Capitals fans, I could understand if there's a little bit of frustration as to not being able to get more, especially when you see some of the other expiring forwards on the market, like Elias Lindholm just net 2 prospects, a first, and Kuzmenko. You're about to see Jake Gensel get traded for something. You may even see Elias Lindholm get traded again. The fact that Mantha only fetched a second and a fourth, oh boy, that is kind of weak in my opinion. Honestly, I can understand why there wouldn't be too much value in Mantha when compared to some of these other guys, but the magnitude. Is he really that bad that it's only a second and a fourth? Anyways, at the very least, the Capitals are getting something. They are getting some younger assets that they can use into the future. I mean, I just took a look at the Capitals subreddit, and they're all kind of saying the same thing. Seems like a low return. I think he should have been worth a first. However, if you forgot this past season, this is an insane deal. I'm not too happy or upset about the trade. Also, his contract is ending, so it's kind of better to get something for nothing. And I think that's a better way to look at it, honestly. If you take a look at Mantha from last year, 27 points in 67 games played, yeah, that's kind of worth a second and a fourth, not gonna lie. It's just this recent stint that he's had with all the goals and all the points makes it a little bit more tantalizing when you acknowledge the return that the Caps got. But at the end of the day, Mantha is an inconsistent forward at best who has been on a little bit of a hot streak, so we'll see if he's able to carry that over into the Vegas Golden Knights system. The cost is a second and a fourth. I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is this a pretty big win for the Vegas Golden Knights? I'm going to lay my foot in the ground and I'm saying, yeah, I think this is a great deal for them if they can capitalize on what Anthony Mantha is capable of. If Mantha is still going to carry over with that top-tier, power forward-like skill that he has, he's able to make some passes, he's able to score some goals, if he's able to carry over this, 10 points in his last 10 games, 5 points in his last 5, into Vegas, then boom, that's a crazy good deal, 50% salary retained, and this is a pretty good player getting added for a very small amount of draft capital. But let's say Mantha fizzles out. Let's say he goes over to Vegas and goes pointless in like 5 or 6 games straight. It's very well possible with the skill set that Mantha has had, where he goes on these long stretches of not really doing much. So if that happens too, then all of a sudden Caps fans are laughing. They're saying, we got a second and a fourth for a guy who's expiring, who's not even doing all too well. So this is a pretty big bet, I would say, and from that perspective, I can understand why the return is as small as it is, but if you're taking a look at the best case scenario for all the assets involved here, Anthony Mantha getting traded for just a second and a fourth seems like a pretty big Vegas win, but only time will tell, right? We'll see whether or not the Vegas Golden Knights are using more of their available LTAR space to maybe make some sort of a second trade go through. Maybe they get another forward right now. They have themselves $7.7 million of used LTAR space, and their total LTAR is at 15-something mil. So maybe is that, $7 more million that they have to use here at the trade deadline? Maybe Mantha isn't even like it. Maybe they're going after more here. We'll see whether or not the Vegas Golden Knights keep their toes dipped into the trading pool. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Anthony Mantha getting traded to the Vegas Golden Knights for a second and a fourth round pick. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.